find truth and preservation of our soul shine. I can feel it, yours and mine. Close your eyes and witness it inside. In your bones, you will know. Trust and let go, and let it flow.
Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. And today I have with me Linn Rivers, who is a fascinating person. I can already sense by her heart coherence with me. Among other things, she's a functional health and wellness expert and just all the things. I'm just excited because you, what I'm sensing, had an early call to be in the health and wellness industry, but you didn't want to follow a traditional route. So I want to start with that. Like, how did you feel that calling, and when did you feel it, and all
All
that?
of the things.
All the things.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me on your show. I'm really excited to be here and talk with you. And I started on this journey very tumultuously, and it went for a good 30 plus years of just constant up and down. And most people have they're like, oh, here's a couple bumps. Mine was like, here are all the bumps and a couple of good moments, right? And I was in the hospital when I was 1 and 3 with pneumonia. My entire childhood, I had asthma, was in and out of the hospitals. I lost the majority of my family before I turned 15 to all kinds of different cancers, including my mom when she was 40.
Wow.
And then I had hormonal issues, and I had gut dysbiosis and depression, and I was suicidal and all of these things. And then in my 20s, I lost my partner from the same cancer that my mom died of.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it's a funny story, because it's like, what are we attracting into our life? Like, there's a lot behind it.
Hmm.
And then I had my near death experiences, one at the same time that she was dying, and then another one not too soon
Oh
after.
my gosh.
And so I started in holistic nutrition right after high school,
Okay.
because once when my mom died, that kind of triggered me to wonder, why is this happening? Why has everyone in my family died from a specific type of illness? And what can I do about that?
Yeah.
And so it started with holistic nutrition, and then it moved into Reiki therapy, massage therapy, yoga therapy. And then I got into functional medicine, and I just kind of went with the flow where I was guided to go. And each modality gave me a new piece of the puzzle to the human being, and how we need to take care of our bodies. Our bodies are our physical vessel for this world,
Hmm.
and it has its own necessities.
Hmm.
A lot of people like to tap into either the physical, mental, or spiritual, but the reality is we need to really focus in on all three of them. And
Hmm.
I was guided to all these different modalities to really learn about why so many people are chronically ill, and why I was so chronically ill, and to navigate everything that was going on in my body, like pre-diabetic, even though I looked healthy. And I had massive depression, a lot of mental instability, hives, histamine intolerances. I could only eat 2 foods.
Wow.
Like, it was just the whole 9 yards. And I learned everything I did and was able to heal myself so I can share that with everyone.
Hmm.
I had to learn the balanced approach instead of just going into one modality,
Right.
and it just kept progressing. So I just kept going with it.
I love that because I know the the puzzle piece aspect of that, because like when I first started doing body talk, I signed up for 4 classes and I thought I was going to do the whole system. Like I was determined I was going to do the whole
Right.
system. But when my soul told me, it was like, oh, no, 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 you already went through the certification program. Like you have the PhD, you have that. You don't need to do that again. Why don't you just open yourself up and allow what wants to come through?
Yes.
And like stuff comes through my sessions that I haven't been trained in because I'm open to it. And you have the journey of like, you have that, but it was came through with the different modalities that you learned so that you get like, I don't have a clue what comes through. I just know it comes through. You have the
Mhm.
gift of actually knowing the different aspects of what's coming through, so you can actually explain them better than me. Because I mean, I'm working with animals, so I don't have to explain it, but you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Well, and that's the other piece of it, right? I think because of my first two near-death experiences as a child,
Yeah.
it put me into a very intuitive space and
Mm.
having psychic abilities very early on in life. And I could read people so easy that I could tell what was going on in their system by their body stature, by
Oh,
where they carried certain weight. And I can still do that. I can see a person and know exactly what hormones are off balance or what, what foods they're eating that are causing issues. And I used to date people based off of I can help them, right? Like I was the healer attracting the,
uh-huh.
and I would literally switch people's body compositions because I would see like, oh, okay, they're holding their weight here, but let's shift it to this area and let's get them more in balance. And I'm talking like people who did not have a butt, for example, but
Wow.
was carrying weight in their waist, and I would help them shift that balance within like a week. And then I'd be like, okay,
Wow.
like we're done. But it like I used the avenue of dating very, very early on in life to do the work that I was like just guided to do.
That's
Yeah, I
fascinating.
know, I know. It's so bizarre to look back at them and be like, oh, yeah,
Gotta love
yeah.
our younger selves.
Um, absolutely.
No, my 19-year-old, man, she was on her own journey, and I just love her to pieces.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. I have so much compassion for that being.
oh, I know, I love that, like, when did it occur to you that, you had that all of your gifts coming through in the form of dating and switching that to, like, having clients?
I am embarrassed to say no, no. So it was a journey that. So in my late 20s, I ended up with a partner who, for the first time, I loved. Like I was like, oh, I actually want to be with this person. However, it was quick to find. She's the one that ended up dying of cancer and of the same cancer that my mom died of. And that was the moment that I realized, oh my God, I'm attracting this sick pattern
Mhm.
into my life because I want to help people.
Mm.
And I was helping her. She was getting better, but that's a completely different story of her choosing that she didn't want to be here anymore. And
Oh,
I witnessed that choosing with her.
wow.
Yeah. And so it was really profound on two levels of showing me like one, I was inviting this pattern in
Mhm.
and I manifested the exact replica of what I needed to heal through most in my life.
Yeah.
Right. And two, I had no say in whether someone actually got better or not.
Mhm.
Because what she taught me was I used to think that, well, if I would have known then what I know now, I could have saved my mom. And as I was sitting with her and she's like, you know what, I'm just going to start doing things the way that I was doing them before, and watching her choose to no longer be here. I knew in that moment, I kind of saw her soul leave, and it was that moment of, oh my God, I can't help those who do not want to be helped. I can only give the information
Mm.
and they'll take it or not. And
Right.
so that for me was the moment where I was like, okay, I need to pay attention to who I'm attracting.
Mhm.
And I only dated maybe three people in the last 7 years for very short stints
Wow.
because it was an acknowledgement that I was still doing that. I was still attracting
Mhm.
the unhealed who needed me.
Wow.
Right. And so the last person I dated, I finally had the aha moment of this is why you have attracted this. Like there was something that I was not healing within myself.
Mhm.
And I finally saw it for the first time out of all of this. And it was the biggest release of my life. And my mom actually came through. So we can connect in the dream world. It's a visitation. She'll actually knock on the door. And that's how I know that it's her coming through.
Mhm.
And she doesn't often, but after several years, she came through to tell me that she was proud of me for finally seeing why I kept attracting these people. And I was just like, oh,
Oh,
so it was not that long ago. It was literally
that's
months
beautiful.
ago
That's
that,
beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, it was really profound to witness that because I knew I was attracting them still,
Hmm.
but I couldn't figure out why because I was still holding on to that piece that I needed to like literally I was just like kind of gripping to this last string, right? And I just needed to snip it. And I did. And I was so happy. And I
That's
laughed at them. I
beautiful.
laughed at that relationship thinking like, Len, you just played that pattern so perfectly. You did it exactly like you're supposed to. And now I'm free. Now I
That's
am free.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I came into this world with well, most people do, until we raise our consciousness, codependency.
Oh yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
many, many ancestors and a little bit of narcissism. So that's been my journey of like being the empath with a narcissist and finding like, okay, that one's okay, complete with that lesson, complete with that lesson, complete with that lesson. Okay, this
Mm-hmm.
last lesson, okay, done. We're done with that. We're just done. We don't want any more narcissists. I'm sovereign. I don't need to take care of, I don't even want to live with anyone for a while.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want anybody, I don't want another relationship. It's just like, I just want to be.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, I've spent the majority of the last 7 years alone, like not doing things with people outside of it, not dating. And it's because I fell in love with being with me and
Mhm,
not willing to accept
mhm.
uh that depth of pattern again. And
Yeah,
so when it happened this last time and I really thought I had worked through it, it was kind of like that, all right, Lynn, like really see it this time, right?
yeah,
But isn't it it's really good to hear you say like you saw the patterns and each person that came along, you realize though that it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and the time gets less and less and less. You
yeah,
don't have to be in it to see
right,
the pattern, right?
right.
And so it's
Beautiful, because it's
beautiful.
like, wow, okay, even the last one was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't see that before, now I do see it. Wow, okay, cool. Now I see all of the patterns."
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned those lessons, thank you so much,
Yes.
much. I'm not and compassion for those previous versions of myself that didn't quite get the full lesson.
Yes, yes. That's exactly what it is. It's
Yeah,
you're going to keep attracting it
mhm,
until you really release it. And the beauty is that, like we were just saying, like it doesn't have to be as you'll notice if you're getting through it by the level of intensity each time.
yeah,
And just catching myself and my patterns with the last person I tried dating was like, oh my God, like this person does not bring out the best in me. Like
yeah.
it was like I was seeing myself from like a young kid, right? Like it was triggering.
Wow,
It was just like, oh, like this is why. This is,
that's
yeah, I
beautiful.
needed to be with harsh energy
Mhm.
because my partner who passed away, she was the one that taught me how to be loved. She set the bar of like,
Cool.
this is how to be loved. This is how
Mm,
to be respected and mutual.
mhm.
And because of that, I didn't want to get to that level again because I was like, oh, well, it's just going to be swept away. Right. And so I
Wow.
kept putting myself in situations with people who I ultimately did not want to go long distance with.
Right,
And
right.
so that was my thing. That was what I had to see for myself.
Mm.
And it was just such, oh man, it was amazing to release that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a celebration. Now it's like how beautiful that I get to actually allow my divine partner to come in,
Mhm.
because I finally cleared the space for them,
Right.
right? Like I finally cleared it. And
Oh, yeah, like, when I started choosing myself in the last relationship I had, and I saw the responses of the guy that was the next person after my partner,
uh-huh,
he would get super, super triggered, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm just choosing me. It has nothing to do with you. I'm just choosing me." And the response was like, "Oh, wow. That's what I was bringing in.
mhm,
Somebody who
mhm.
didn't want me to choose me."
Right,
So interesting because like I'm not doing it like I'm just choosing like what I want to do. And if
right.
your frequency doesn't match mine, there's nothing wrong with your frequency. It's just that it doesn't
Exactly.
not mine. And
Exactly.
so like really navigating that and seeing how here's the thing. Eye
Mhm.
gazing. Eye gazing is not for the faint of heart because I ended up having a very deep energetic bond with this guy who
Yeah.
I still love, but it was like more intense than any sex I could have had with him.
Yeah.
So I had to do so much clearing out of my system
Hmm.
to release the energy connection.
Hmm.
that I didn't know, because nobody ever got eye gazed with me before. So I was like, oh my gosh, he really loves me, and blah, 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 because that was my program.
Oh God, I know that. I know.
And I love it. And he gave me, he embraced me. He didn't hug me. He embraced me. And I was like, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah.
But that was my little girl
Yes,
looking for
exactly.
validation.
Yes.
So like, no thing, I'm complete with it. Now that I've disconnected from the energy of it, it's like, okay, well, now I know what feels good, but is it actually good? Like, if I really want that kind of embrace, why don't I give it to myself? So I do.
Yeah.
I don't need it from somebody
And
else.
mutual, right? Being able
Mhm.
to give back to that person. It doesn't matter if they're masculine or feminine,
Right.
like everyone deserves to feel embraced, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's why, like, sometimes I feel like when I see my friends with their boyfriends and they expect so much from their boyfriends, I'm like, why don't you go and give him a hug?
Right.
Like, hold him. Like, he deserves to be held too, you
Mhm.
know? And it's really interesting for you to hear you be able to witness that within yourself,
Yeah.
because I think for a big, like for myself, there's some YouTube videos that I have where I talk about my embarrassments of how we think that because they're giving us this one thing that we're so in love, that we're, oh, this is the person because they did this for me, right?
Uh-huh.
And I look at myself and I'm like, every single relationship that I've been in, I was like, oh my God, this is the one. To my best friend, I'm like, watch, we're gonna get married and it's gonna be like this. And you just get so
Right.
excited because of this one connection that you've been searching for. And then you realize, like, oh, wait a minute, I need this, and like it can't just be this one thing. It needs to be the whole thing,
Mhm.
right? Like once you get to a certain point, because you're going to go through those and
Yep.
you're going to be like, okay, great, this person eye gazed with me. The next person, oh, they embraced me. And then it's like, this can be normal all the time. You can
Uh-huh.
be with a person who can meet you there, and it's not
Right.
going to be every day, but it's like you guys do have the eye gazing connection. You guys do have that easy communication. You have the ability to be physical
Right.
in really beautiful ways, right? And it's like, but it's so typical for especially women for us to just be like, oh, this one thing, I'm in love. I'm in love. Like, this is it. And then hindsight, you're like, I didn't, for me, I didn't really even like the person. Not that they were a bad person.
No, I know.
They did not match me. Like
I
I did not
know.
like who they were.
I knew for a fact, like, it was like, what got me was, because I was doing this crazy experiment. So I read Alison Armstrong's The Queen's Code and how to interrelate with men and women, how they think differently and how they understand. So I was like, oh, I'm going to try this experiment with this guy. Because I didn't know, because I just read it and I'm like, I haven't applied it yet. So I'm applying it. And then one day he looks at me and he gives me the smile that literally buckles my knees, because nobody's ever smiled at me like that. And I'm like, okay, this was my friend and now I'm buckling my knees. He must love me. Right?
Mhm.
Right. So then I apply the Queen's Code. I'm like, okay, well, I know heart coherence. I'm going to see how far away from him that I can project love and acceptance just where he is. And 50 feet away, he felt it. I was like, well, that's cool. And like, so it was a really confusing thing because he didn't want to have a relationship, but physically and emotionally, he marked me.
Mhm.
And so every one of my friends thought we were a couple. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really want to be in a relationship with me. But like everything about, like, he'd sit like 6 inches away from me. That's
Mm.
kind of intimate, I think. But then,
Or toxic,
right, right.
right?
But like I was so confused because I thought we were friends, and then everything he
Yeah.
did was like, no, we're not friends, we're more than that. But then it wasn't, and it was like, okay, I'm not
Yeah.
ready for.
Yeah.
So it's like really like what has helped me do is like being more discerning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And patient for the
Yeah.
process to unfold instead of that lunging that we love to do.
Mhm.
It's like we I think it comes down to that child that wants to be loved so much, right? And until we finally feel that love for ourselves, we continue to seek it externally.
Mhm.
And then we think that, well, this person's giving us like 75% of what I want. Like, should I settle?
Right.
And that's what I did this last time. I was like, well, she's really she's healthy, she does these blah blah blah, so maybe I'm being too picky. And the reality is, it's like, no, that goes against self-love, and it's
Mhm.
toxic when someone's sitting there and saying like, oh, well, I'm in your bubble now, so no one else can see you,
Right.
but I don't want to be with you.
Right.
Right. And it's toxic. It's not
Wow.
at that point, the second that you notice that, it's not something to work through. It's not something to see if he'll change. It's
Nope.
something that shows this person is not for you.
Right.
This is not, if they were, it would be a yes and a yes, let's do this. That's
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, it's really beautiful to be able to step back
Yeah.
and to be discerning, as you said, and to listen and be patient to see, like that's where I'm at right now, where I've had friends come in and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what this is.
Mhm.
And then they do one thing, we're like, great, just a friendship. And
Mhm.
you can deeply love a friend,
Oh,
like as
yeah.
far as like feeling like my best friend Maria, when people read our text, they're like, are you two in a relationship? I was like, no, we just love each other. We
Yeah.
respect each other. We love each other. And it does look romantic because we throw little hearts out all the time. And we're just like, you're so amazing.
Beautiful.
And, we say, good morning. I hope you have a beautiful day. And her partner, she met the love of her life and he's fantastic. And it's just like, you can love someone so deeply and
Mhm.
feel romantic in a sense, right? But it's not a physical romantic connection.
Right.
It's
It's just
just
a love.
beauty.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just human love.
I have a friend like that down in Mount Shasta, and I met her, and my heart expanded,
Mhm,
and I
mhm.
was like, oh my gosh! And I hold hands with her.
Yeah,
It's not romantic. It's just like I
right.
love her so much
Yeah.
because she exists on the planet, and
Yes,
there's nothing romantic about it other than
yes.
the love. You know, it's just this pure love, and it's
It's
really
such a
innocent.
gift. It
Mhm.
is such a gift when you find that kind of friendship.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it is
really is.
rare to have that deep of like, we're growing together. We see
Mhm.
each other, we love each other, and you are a genuine support to one another.
Yeah,
And you don't have to make this physical. I think
right,
the hard thing is like a lot of times people think like, oh, well, there's all this connection. Like, shouldn't we be together? Because like we
right.
have, and I think that it's beautiful when you can step outside and remember
Mhm.
that to have a friend that amazing, like that's one of the greatest gifts in life that you're going to get.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no reason to complicate it. There's no reason to make it something that it's not. And yeah, sure, there are feelings that you want to explore and you both do. Explore it like kindly with each other, right? Knowing like, let's just see. And
Mhm.
this, you'll
Right,
know,
right.
within minutes if you're honest with each other. So it's, yeah,
And you'll feel it internally too, like,
yeah.
like, practicing the discernment, um, I know intuitively, like, she's just an old, many soul old
Mhm.
sister that
Yeah.
I've seen in many lifetimes, and I'm just, like, over the moon excited that I get to be with her in this lifetime
Yeah.
again. And so, like, I feel that, and it's just so beautiful to have, like, for me, one of the gifts I have is I kept my innocence. I don't know how I did
Mhm.
it, but I kept my
Mhm.
innocence. So, like, to be able to be innocent with another being,
Yeah.
oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yes, I get, yeah. For me, it's the playfulness. And
Mhm.
when she used to live here, she's back in Sweden now. But when she was living here, we'd climb together and slackline together and like we would just play and be childlike together.
Oh,
And for me, that is rare to find as an adult,
mhm.
right? Like I I think about the last person I was trying to date and her idea of fun was like, let's watch Netflix and let's eat. And I was just like, ooh, and I saw myself just kind of like
Yeah.
slowly having to tune myself down
Mhm.
to be near her.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, like I get that I played out my childish wounds in that situation.
Yeah.
But what I was watching myself do was allow myself to get sucked into that, like,
Mhm.
be boring, be
Yeah.
numb, just, and I was like, that's not me. I like to play. I play pickleball and volleyball and all of these things.
I
And,
love that.
and so for, yeah, the playfulness for me was the big one.
Yeah, I get that because, like, I've been in, way too many serious relationships, and it's kinda like I'm innately playful.
Yeah.
And, like, I love puzzles, I love painting, I love hiking, I love swimming and kayaking, and what else do I love? Many other things. Miss my Pilates reformer machine, I really miss that, but, like, the play, and I bowl really badly, but I love it
Oh, I
anyway.
love bowling.
I'm really bad at it and I love it. Like it's just every once in a while, oh my gosh, there's a strike. Wow. It's like it's a surprise.
It's perfect. That's the fun of it, right?
Right. It's like I'm not competitive because like I don't
Right. Yeah.
that that takes the fun out of it. But like to find people that are open to playing in this world is so important because that's what brings out the creativity and it brings out the inspiration and
Yes.
the next iteration of what our soul wants to bring through.
Yeah. The way that I always talk about play is it is the easiest way to emanate the best version of yourself and to step into creativity. I
Mhm.
think we get so serious about the work that we do and about life in general
Yeah.
that we put all of our focus on what should be done, when if we just step away from a project and go and play, the
Mhm.
energy that opens up from that is magnificent. It's brilliant, right? And it allows you to come back to that space with like full of energy and desire to be in that project in a different way.
Mhm.
And I just think about when you do what you love, when you actually have fun and you bring laughter to yourself, that's one of the most healing things that you can do
Oh
for
yeah.
yourself.
Yep.
It's the most healing thing you can do for the planet. The
Yeah.
way your aura shifts from being light and playful is profound,
Mhm.
right? I mean, they have the machines where they can read auras. And when a person is just like sucked in and sad and just like really inwards, like in not in a positive way, but inwards in like a sense of I don't want to be out
Like
in the world.
like that kind.
There, it's like shrunken
Yeah.
and darker. And when you're expansive and light, it's just like this aura just like emanates. And
Mhm.
you can feel that with people,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And
definitely.
I'm so in tune to that stuff. And I laugh at myself. I'm like, Lynn, you knew this from the second you met all these people that you dated, but
Mhm.
you wanted to fix them. You wanted to be that person that was going to raise their vibration. And I did because they took my energy, right? They sapped me.
That's the thing.
And yeah,
I've had
yes.
all of my relationships have been like because I describe my energy as like a cinnamon roll. I don't know why, but I've seen people respond to me like like this yummy energy.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. And one of my partners, we'd snuggle at night.
Hmm.
I would wake up exhausted,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, "Start the day," and I'm like, "I need coffee. I need like,"
Yeah.
because I couldn't wake up because I'd been drained the whole night.
Yes.
And when he left, because he traveled a lot for work, when he was gone, I recover. But I didn't make the connection
I
until I
know.
broke up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a thing.
I
And there's
know.
nothing wrong with that. It's just that I didn't have the awareness that I was allowing that to happen
Yes.
because I thought he could fill the love within me that I didn't think I could have without, like I didn't know I could give myself that love by myself.
Right.
I had to look
Most people
outside.
don't.
Right.
Yeah, most people don't understand what self-love really is.
Mhm.
And for me, it's one of those things where when I was coaching people across the board, whether it was health or mindset mentality or anything, coaching through trauma or grief, it's learning to love yourself means genuinely being able to be alone. And the amount of people who are able to happily be alone is very small.
Yeah.
Like it is one of it's like the top fear for the majority of the population is to be alone. And the amount you learn about yourself from being alone is so beautiful that
Mhm.
I fell in love with myself so much that I'm like, I don't know if I want another person in my life.
Right.
Like, unless it's what I genuinely want from a partnership, that
Mhm.
beauty, that equanimity, that just like ease and
Mhm.
support and what I want. If it's not that, I am so much happier being alone.
Oh yeah,
It's
I got it. Like,
it's not worth my energy to go through the patterns that I've already played out. I'm like, those are old. They're done.
right.
Like
Well,
they're
it's
dead, you
perfect
know?
example today. I went for a walk. I left my phone at home.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's good if I want the pedometer, but like I don't need it because I can
I
guesstimate how
know.
I walked. And like the joy of connecting with the trees and the water
Yes.
and the land and I'm seeing all these other people like in this mode of like I'm doing
go,
my
go.
power walk. I'm not doing a
Mhm,
power walk. I'm doing
mhm.
a who can I connect with in nature that we're going to have this mutual connection. I have a tendency to love cedars. Like cedars and I go
Oh yeah.
many, many lifetimes. And so
Have you ever smelled them? The butterscotch? Do you know the butterscotch smell? Have you smelled that yet?
I haven't smelled the butterscotch smell.
Really?
I don't smell very well.
Oh, I
So,
think it's the cedars that if you stick your nose in the bark, it
mhm.
smells like butterscotch. Like literally you can taste it. It's like, yeah, it's
Well, they're
amazing.
magical. They're
Yeah.
like cosmic beings of light.
Yeah.
And so I'm deeply connected with them. And so today the path I walked down, because I'm house sitting for somebody, I walked by and I always talk to them and I touch them. And that's my
Mhm.
little ritual of connecting with them. They were asleep. And I'm not used to cedars that are asleep. I'm used to cedars that are like, hey, how are you? Like not part of the conversation, but I can feel them pull my energy in just to say hi.
Oh yeah.
And these guys were all asleep. And so I'm started touching them and then they'd start waking up like, oh, okay, cool. Somebody's here to talk to us. And it's because I wasn't distracted that I could hear them.
Where do you live?
That's a good question. Um, in the current moment, I'm in Lake Oswego, Oregon for the
Where,
next
okay.
for the next 8 days. Then I'll
Okay.
be somewhere in Oregon, but I'm not sure where.
Okay. I used to live in Oregon, so I wanted to know what trees you were you were talking about.
Western Cedars, the Western
Okay.
Cedars. Where are you now?
I'm in San Diego.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, if
Beautiful.
you saw my yard, I live on 6 acres of nothing but trees. Like I have 2 rivers running along my property on each side of my house, and there's trees everywhere.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
love that.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so important. Like I just love connecting. I don't feel like me if I'm not connecting every day.
Yeah,
Then I can feel the difference. And so like, would I rather connect with trees and boulders and rivers and all of those things that I can feel and it's an exchange. It's not like one taking from the other. It's just this
hmm
beautiful
hmm
equanimity-ish, new word,
yeah,
relationship. Um, versus like trying to find somebody else that can fill me up that isn't going to fill me up as much as me doing what I love.
right, right. And I think that all comes back to, right, like making sure that you are a whole person,
Mhm.
right? Like you really, it's so cliche, and I know there's so much going on, surrounding that, oh well, but some people do complete each other, but the reality is you really have to be so strong in yourself to
Mhm.
not falter when someone else tries to pull you in different directions,
Right.
right? Because that's usually what happens. You enter into a relationship, you don't have your solid backbone,
Mhm.
and so they can kind of just pull you into like, oh well, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, and it just becomes a thing of like, oh, we're always going to be doing what they want to do, like, okay, got it. Right.
Right.
And it's just really easy to fall into that if you don't really have that first relationship with yourself.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful for my journey being what it was,
Mhm.
because I fell in love with myself. And I can't say that about a lot of people. And
Right.
I know that the person I attract is going to be on that same vibration now because I'm there.
Right.
Right. It's like you want what you seek what you are, regardless of if you're aware of it or not.
Mhm.
So when you attract someone who has these patterns, it's like, oh, I need to figure out, do I still need to work through my own on this, or am I stuck in a pattern where I'm attracting? It's like there's something
Right.
that needs to shift within yourself.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're going to keep attracting it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean that's why I know like for a fact that yes, I'd love to be in a relationship again, but not until I have a deeper relationship with myself.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because I I don't even want to, and I love animals. I love animals. I there's a Bernese Mountain Dog that's coming to my field that's like, okay, I'm waiting for you. I'm like, not yet, not yet, not yet.
Oh.
I just he came in when I was driving one day. He said, Fernando. And I'm like, I don't know any Fernandos. And I heard Fernando again. I'm like, okay, what is Fernando? And it was a fully grown rescue Bernese Mountain Dog. And I'm like, honey, I don't even have a place to have you right now.
Oh,
So that's fine because I'm doing me right now. Let me get my
yeah.
foundation established and do me for like go cross country skiing in Ashland and like hike and do Pilates and swim again and just be me for 6 months. And then I'll have a dog.
Yeah.
Because even a dog at this point is like too much of a distraction for me. And
Oh, I can understand that.
because it's just, it's, I've had tastes of being alone.
Mm,
And when I have been alone, I love the person I am.
right.
So I just want to give myself more of that.
You see, and you will know when you meet someone, this is for all of us, where you can be completely and truly 100% like honoring yourself and what you need, and then be like, that's fantastic, right? The second that they acknowledge, like, great, go do what you need to do. Like, there it is.
Yeah.
And that should be the, when you say like, you know what, I actually need to just stay home tonight. Like, I need some alone time. It's not an attack. It's a, oh, that's perfect. Like, take care of yourself, because they're so solid in themselves too, that you don't have to, they don't need you to complete something for them, vice versa.
Right.
And if that comes, it's like, great.
It's more of an interdependent rather than the codependent model that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I don't want to share a bed again. I'm cool with, like, I mean, even with my dog, I don't want to share a bed again. I like sleeping alone.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Doesn't mean that I won't ever spend time with my partner. It
Right.
just means they can have their own bed. Because I wake up and have my own routines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I
I
like
know.
doing my journaling. I like meditating. I like being quiet. I like doing all these things and having my chai and sipping it quietly without anyone bothering me. Like I like
Yeah.
that. Like after 10, I'm good, but like leave me alone before 10.
Yeah, it's that's so funny. I think about like, would I actually be able to live with someone again? Because it's been so long, right? 8 years, something like that.
Mhm.
And I think like they would have to have a very similar lifestyle to where we're up at the same time. And I would still want a second bedroom,
Mhm.
because if I can't, and it's more for like, if I can't sleep, I don't want to disturb their sleep either, right?
Mhm.
And vice versa. So if someone's like having a restless night, it's like, okay, we have another bedroom, go to that one,
Mhm.
and just like, it's like kind of a mutual respect of,
Yeah.
let's make sure we're both the best versions of ourselves. And that means I need 8 hours of sleep regardless. Like, if I don't get it, I'm not going to be a happy
Right.
person.
Right.
And so as long as that's happening, great. And I'll be a little bit, I'll have to see how that goes, because
Right.
it's, yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
gonna call it in when you're ready. Like that's what I feel is like I'm perfectly content. I know what my boundaries are. I know
Yeah.
what I like to do. Like just I like quiet. I
Right.
really like quiet. So like you could just be with me, read your own book, and I'll be in my book, and like that's great. Or if I'm gonna go like hiking, if you want to come with me, that's great.
Yes.
Don't talk unless you see
Yeah.
something magical that I'm missing. Um, because I just want to be present in nature.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to do me. And if that person
Mhm.
has similar interests, sure, I can share them on occasion. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in that, oh, we have to do everything together thing
Right.
because I don't want that.
Right. That's not yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's easy to, I've seen a lot of couples. I shouldn't say they're friends anymore. They were friends in New Mexico. They've been together 28 years now,
Wow.
and they still sit on each other's laps, and they still love each other, and they still do things together. And their balance is beautiful. Like, if one wants to go climbing and the other doesn't that day, they'll be like, okay, I'll see you later. And they go and they find a new climbing partner at the gym. And it's just like, they bike. They're in their 70s and they could kick my butt
Love
at
that.
biking up these hills. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, they're living their life like so beautifully,
Mhm.
and it's just like, that was the first time that I've ever seen a relationship where I was like, oh, maybe I do want that long term, because you can find that with someone when you're at that point.
Right.
And you said the ready part, right? And the funny thing is, it's like something in the universe knows more when we're ready than we are. And so I could be like, oh, I'm not ready, but the universe is like, oh, yes, you are. And I get little signs from time to time when someone's about to enter my life. And more recently, they've been like, oh, it's time. Like, it's time. And I'm like, no, it's not time. They're like, it's time. And it's been like sneaking up on me, and I have dreams about it. And I'm just like, okay, like I need to be a little bit more open and,
Yeah, and the
it
years will
comes.
always show signs. Like I had a couple years ago, my holy beloved came in this crazy ass dream that was like, it was so lucid. I've never had such a lucid dream in my life. And I was supposed to meet him in Portland at a coffee shop for 3 weeks. I went to the coffee shop, but I didn't go every day.
Um,
And then the week where my former partner decided that we were going to get back together and drove back from Maine to Oregon, um, I got interference. And so it's been 3.5 years since I had that lucid dream and I started feeling him again. I'm like, not yet. Not because I'm not ready, but just because I want to have my time.
yeah.
And so I've gotten an awareness that there's respect for that. So that's why I've actually finally seen what he looks like.
Oh, really?
Not fully. I know he's taller than me and I've seen the hair color.
Okay.
And
I'm
that's it.
curious. I have to ask you,
Yeah.
is it opposite of what you're used to going after?
So many different types. Like
Okay.
my dad was Swedish broad-shouldered, so my husband was broad-shouldered and 5'10". My second partner was 5'10", and he was Irish. This
Okay.
last gentleman was 6'2" and was a Marine, and he was Scandinavian too. I don't know. I don't,
Okay.
I don't know what it is at this point. It's more of a frequency.
Right.
Like how
Vibrational match, of course.
right,
Yeah.
because like the attraction, yes, there's going to be attraction, but like the attraction means nothing to me if I don't feel the frequency.
Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah. That's why I could pass by every beautiful person on the street and not bat an eye. Because I'm
Mhm.
like, good for you. You're beautiful. Don't care. Like, because I know that you're not going to match me. And
Right,
I say that like humbly because I don't resonate with a lot of people because of what I've been through. I had to become a very different person. And so I know when I'm vibrating with someone really easily, and it's not often.
right.
And
No, I
but
get that.
I asked you that question because I finally saw little glimpses of my partner in my dreams, and she's complete opposite of what. So my go-to type was always dark hair, dark eyes,
Mhm.
which matched my mom, right? Like it was like this psychological thing.
Wow.
And once I finally cleared that,
Mhm.
I saw my partner come through and she has blue eyes and light hair. And
Wow.
it's just like, wow. I was like,
That's
that makes so much
fascinating.
sense, right? Because there was just like this, of course she would have the lightness, right? The lightness that matches me. And so it's just like
I,
really fascinating.
I'm truly fascinated because I had dark hair, silver hair, and silver hair. So I was like, I don't know. I
So
do.
maybe they both had dark hair though, right? Like the
I
silver
think
might
they
have
did. I think they did.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, so who knows what's gonna come through?
yeah.
At
That's
one
so
point I
funny.
thought he was Scottish. Um, when I first met him 3.5 years ago, I thought he was Scottish then. So I just did energy though.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't have any attachment to anything other than the fact that I feel the frequency.
Right.
And, I said, you can meet me. I don't have
Mhm.
any problem with you meeting me now. Just know that I'm not going to be more than a
Take your
friend.
time, get to know each other.
I just
Yeah.
want to be a friend
Yeah.
because I'm the most important person in my life right now.
Yeah.
And that's for everyone. We have to be the most important person in our lives.
Always. Always.
We're not, that's an opportunity for us to tune in and find out why.
Yeah. You know, when you say that, I think about like why I attracted all the people that I did, and usually it was health related, right? And my desire to help people
Mhm.
through health related issues is chronic conditions and bipolar disorders and depression and all of these different
Yeah.
forms of mental health.
Mhm.
And it's fascinating to look back, and the second I finally started stepping into like really doing it, because before like I was diving into it like, okay, I'll do massage, and then I did it for a couple years, but it was always just like I was just like dipping my toe in.
Mhm.
And the second that I finally realized, like, I'm going to go in full speed and I'm going to create the course that I'm creating right now, I'm going to do this. And the second I did that was when I released that last pattern from my connection and finally realized it. And
Wow.
so it's kind of like this like aha moment of, man, we really will keep attracting the people that we're supposed to help if we don't actually step into what we're supposed to be sharing. Like,
Mhm.
and I say supposed to because this is my passion. So if my passion was something different, it would be that, but this is my passion. This is my drive to help people.
Mhm.
And the second I stepped into it, I was like, oh man, I don't have to, I can attract someone who's already healthy and ready for,
Mhm.
this too. And it's really profound to look at connections and how they show up and why they show up
Oh,
and
yeah.
the
It's
complexity. My
crazy. It's
goodness.
so crazy to see the different layers and to see all the attachments that we can't
Yeah,
see until we see it.
right.
It's like there's nothing wrong with them, but wow, we have that deeper awareness. It's like,
Oh yeah.
ooh, okay,
Oh
like
yeah.
all your family relationships and like why did you come into this family and how does that all work? And
Yes.
what are the patterns that you inherited epigenetically that you get to change within you,
Right.
thought patterns and through your diet and your environment,
Yes.
you have control of all of that.
Right.
And just having the awareness and like, okay, what did I knew when I was little, I was like, okay, I'm ending all of the ancestral patterns. Like I just knew that. So I didn't have any kids because I knew I was the last one in the lineage. And
Yes. Remind me to talk about that in a
yeah,
minute.
definitely. And so like, so I've gotten all of them because I wanted to clear it all from my body. Like I don't want to carry this. I'm a being of light. I want to get rid of all this ancestral stuff, not because I don't love them, but because I love them. And I don't want them to have to deal with it. But I'm the manifestation of all these different things. And I came into this combination of families for a reason. And my 10-year-old's like, I'm it. Like I'm not having like at 10, I'm
Yeah.
like not having
Yeah.
children because I can't bring this forward.
Right. So what I was going to say there is in one of my near-death experiences, it was very clear that I was shown you can tell the highly vibrational people who are clearing out not only their ancestral patterns, but for the earth, right? I was shown like this is what earth looks like, this is why you're here. Great. We're the ones that don't have children. We're the ones that don't carry that forth because we're the ones that have to clear it. So
Mhm.
it ends there, right? So that's why you notice like the people who tend to be alone and the people who don't end up having children, it's because they're clearing their family lineage and all of the trauma that came through,
Yeah.
and they're transmuting it into the new earth,
Yeah.
right? And so that's how you can really point out people where
Mhm.
it's like, oh, they like to be alone, they don't have children, they're really well, like they know themselves well. You'll find that it's the people who are alone and don't end up having children and kind of navigate this world in a more lonely like state. They're the ones clearing it. They're the ones to really like beam this thing. And the kids, that's why if you pay attention to the kids that come in, they're always a little bit more elevated each time, and it's because they're going to be the ones to clear out their family lineage
Right.
and all of the trauma there.
Oh
And
yeah.
they're doing it from a young age
Mhm.
now, like they're like, oh, great. Like they know themselves way more than most 40-year-olds I know.
It's
I'm just like,
amazing.
it's
Well, and the animals are
phenomenal.
too. Like the animals that are like 1 and 2, they're clearing out the codependency.
Yeah.
Like dogs, okay, there's a couple things going on, but like, anyways, like for all animals, like the younger ones, they're like, no, 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 we're not codependent anymore. We're clearing all that out. We're claiming our sovereignty, and we want a new relationship. We want you to be the steward and take care of us, but we're sovereign.
Yeah.
And the sooner you remember that, like I don't pick up cats. I mean, I pick up a boo because he jumps on me and I have to move him off my back. But like most animals, I don't pick up because they don't want me to.
Right.
And I'm just honoring the awareness that I have because they're like, okay, you know, especially cats. Cats have weird cosmic connections. I don't really understand
Well,
it.
they're just cats.
They're just fascinating beings of light that just like bring
Yes.
in different energies. Dogs are
Yes.
tired of begging for food and doing the whole dog thing. They really are. They just want to be left alone and loved for who they are and do their own thing, just like we do. But because they came in with a codependent pattern,
Right.
they're actually tracking us to get interdependent.
Right.
So they want to actually
Wow.
lead us into interdependency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty
So
awesome.
fascinating.
Yeah. How are you? I'm just curious about this one because you mentioned the new earth and the lightness. How are you feeling shifts in consciousness right now?
I mean, it's happening at a very rapid rate, right?
Hmm.
And that's thanks to technology, people have access to it more. So it's a natural evolution. Like our technological advancements are not like this, oh, they just happen to come by at this point. It's part of our evolution of our parents didn't have access to it.
Hmm.
They were in their own little bubble. They didn't get to heal it.
Hmm.
But that's just part of the human evolution. It's not, well, your parents didn't have the technology. It's they were part of that decade for a reason because who they were helped shaped, like they had to be like, oh, we're going to be married by the age of 18 and have 3 kids, and they were doing that because they had to evolve the kids who are going to be here now. And so it's just part of the natural evolution, right, to get us there. But now where we are in this evolutionary state where we have all the technology and all the messages to get out to people so people can hear like this message, for example, where they can start internalizing and actually shifting their consciousness based on like, oh my gosh, I do this. And when you shift your codependency or you shift your negative thought patterns, you are raising your vibration and shifting the human consciousness. Like we are a network. And I like to tell people to think about our neurons, right? When you see a picture of the neurons, you see them all interconnected,
Right.
right? And certain ones light up and certain ones don't. And
Mhm.
what's happening right now is all of the external neurons that hadn't been lit, they're starting to lighten up. And the older generations who no longer serve this earth because they cannot catch up, you see those neurons starting to die off. And so you're like creating this, we're a network, right?
Yeah.
Like we're connected to everything around us. And as we evolve, those neurons just start lighting up. And so it's like, yes, it's happening at a very rapid rate.
Yeah.
Those are the reasons that we have mass deaths at certain points in our history, because it's a cleanup. It is
Right.
literally an energetic cleanup. And that's why I don't see like my whole family died, like my partner died. I don't, like
Yeah.
it's not a, oh, poor me. It's like, oh, they got to go home. Right. And
Mhm.
it's just part of this, like, it's a completely different consciousness that we have to step into. And that means this generation can no longer be here. This person can't be here because they're not stepping forward into the new consciousness. And it's just a massive cleanup. And so our consciousness is just like, boom, like here we come.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling too. I'm definitely feeling shifts going on. It's like the awarenesses I've been getting and the shifts in how I'm showing up and
Mhm.
like simple things like today I just set out my toroidal field, and what I do every morning and night is I activate my Merkaba, which is something I was shown. And then I activate my toroidal field of love. So I'm just emanating love wherever I go.
Yeah.
So I don't have to think about it. I'm not making a
Right.
conscious effort. I just am. And then I see the ripple effects.
Yes.
And that's just so much fun because like I make the conscious choice to do that.
Yes.
And so the more I do that, the more I see the shifts and the more I can just be present with myself and not have to be that, oh, I have to help you.
Hmm.
What I mean? Because like when I'm not in that toroidal field, I feel obligated to go out and help people. And that's
Yes.
the pattern that I have. So like I take that out of me and then I just have that love going and then I can just be me and not
That's
have
all you need to
a
be.
program. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. Everyone's always looking for their purpose, right? And the reality is you are your purpose. Your purpose is here being human and being the best version of yourself that you can be. Everything that you do outside of yourself is passion or, desire. It's not your purpose.
Right.
Like I could choose to go do photography because I also love photography, but that's a passion. Or I could choose to put it into the functional medicine. That's a passion. It's not my purpose for being here.
Right.
My purpose is be the best version of myself so I can emanate that energy as I walk through this world.
Mhm.
And I do have big energy. I mean, I used to work in the movie industry, and all of the main famous people would seek me out to talk to me. Right. And it's still that way. In LA, I will walk by famous people and they'll stop to talk to me on the street. And it's because of my energy, because
Yeah.
of who I am. It's
Yeah.
not because of what I do. It's not because they don't know who I am or what I do.
Right.
Right. It's my energy. And as long as
Yeah.
I can stay in that space,
Mhm.
that's what I'm emanating. I'm
Right.
giving this love, this loving vibration. And it means I'm happy and I am sharing this as I walk through the world.
Right.
And that is like the greatest gift you could give to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. It doesn't matter what I do as long as
Right.
I'm happy doing it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the shift, is because, like, we have all these titles, right? And all of these certificates and dreams and blah 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 blah. And there are aspects of us that, as we are our source,
Mhm.
first came in through us to express itself in different ways.
Right.
So my joys and passions delight the source within me. It doesn't define me. Nothing defines me.
No.
And that's such a relief.
It's a freeing feeling.
Yeah. Because then I can
Yeah.
see whatever
Yes.
wants to come through in a given moment.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if I'm like learning painting or I'm an expert in something else. It's just, how does it feel in this moment to be
Hmm.
what wants to come through?
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's actually what held me back so much in life, was trying to figure out, what am I supposed to call myself? Like, am I this nutritionist? Am I like, what do I label myself as? And then one time I was on a coaching call with someone and she was like, why are you trying to find a label for it?
Mhm.
And I was just like, she's like, you are your own walking advertisement. Like your energy is what. And like anyone could come up to you and you could be like, well, what do you need? Because I do a lot of different things.
Right.
Right. And it was in that moment that I, like, right now, if I have to go out somewhere, I'm a functional medicine, expert, or I functional health and wellness expert, or anything around that field, because that's where my passion is right now. But does that change? Like today, I was like, oh yeah, today I'm a photographer because I was doing a photo shoot.
Beautiful.
Right. And it's just like, I no longer have to pick this one little box
Mhm.
and be like, this is what you want to do the rest of your life. Make sure you check it and give yourself a title. It's just like
Right.
me, like I'm a human. No one else
Writing
needs
the
to know
bio.
anything other than that I am a human having an experience, on this earth with all these other humans. That's all anyone ever needs to know about me. They don't need to know anything else.
Oh, writing a bio is laughable. Like I wrote a bio recently, and what do I say?
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, I've done all these cool things in my life, but are they me? No.
Right.
They're fun things I did, and if
Right.
you know about those, they're great. But like, what I am is none of those things. They're just expressions of my soul.
Yeah.
And so it's really like, I read bios and I'm like, I don't even know how to write one anymore, because none of it's resonant with me,
Yeah.
because I'm not in that space of playing that, like, having a PhD in cultural studies means anything to me. It's cool if I'm on the East Coast and I need to trot it out as like some
Yeah.
means of, like, I don't know, legitimizing myself, but I don't care. It's not who I am. It's something I
I know.
did.
Yeah.
I tortured myself with. Sorry, it's the younger self, but like,
Yeah.
it's not me.
Yeah.
It's just an aspect of the me's that I am. And when we give ourselves that freedom, to release ourselves from the need to define who we are, then we're gifting ourselves the joy of existence.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, well, Lynn, I'm just noticing the time.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time. So I'm going to ask the question, how do people find you?
Okay, well, do you mind me first telling people about my course?
Please do.
I want to let people know that I have created a course for anyone who's looking to overcome chronic conditions of any kind, mental or physical or emotional. There's a lot to it, and it really helps people overcome by learning about the human body and what's actually going on with it and why we have such a sick society at this point. And I am giving it to people for $50 during the pre-launch sale because I really want people to have access to this information because it's so necessary for you to heal. Your body sets the tone, your health sets the tone. If you are not healthy, it's going to play into every other aspect of your life. And living in a healthy body is just one of the greatest gifts that you could give yourself. And as a functional medicine practitioner, I was having to charge people $3,000. And it did not feel right that only a certain population could have access to that. Because unfortunately, if you really want to get better, it's not attached to insurance.
Right.
And so I decided to create a course and make it accessible for everyone. So you can find it on www.linnrivers.com, and that's LINN rivers.com. And you can actually buy the pre-launch there. It is transferring over to the program where it's going to be held, where you can talk to people from all over the world who are part of the course. It's so beautiful. But I definitely recommend going to my website and signing up for it while it's in its pre-launch phase.
When does it launch?
In February.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you have till February 1st to buy it on pre-launch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes. Very
Well,
beautiful. I'm very proud of it.
oh my gosh, I am so grateful that you reached out and we set up this podcast because it has been so wonderful and delightful. And I'm just so grateful to know you on the planet.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was so perfect. I had no idea what to expect, right? And it just flowed so beautifully. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You.
Can you help me redefine truth and preservation of our soul shine? I can feel it, yours and mine. Close your eyes and witness it inside. In your bones, you will know. Trust and let go.